Hey everyone, welcome back to IVC Test. I'm Ira Warren Whiteside, and if you remember last time, we kind of cracked open the whole concept of the information value chain and why lining up your business goals with the nitty-gritty details of your data makes such a difference. So today we're going a layer deeper. We're talking about metadata and how it can honestly surprise you with the stories it tells about your business. Now, right off the bat, let's define things a bit. Metadata, simply put, is data about your data. It's like the label on a can in your pantry. What's inside, when it was produced, that sort of thing. Sounds basic, but without it, you're basically guessing, right? So here's how this comes together. Step one is capturing all that metadata. You can use data profiling tools for this. Think of them as detectives that log all the key facts and stats about your data sets. We'll look at file types, when records were updated, even weird outliers. I know for a lot of folks, getting their arms around metadata feels, kind of overwhelming at first. But you can start simple. Have your team gather what they have, or honestly, I've even helped clients by jumping in directly if they just give me read-only access. Oh, and here's a quick story. Years ago, I was onboarding this big retailer, and I kid you not, their metadata showed a hidden pattern in their product file. Nobody had flagged it because it just looked like standard background stuff. Until the profiling tool called out a spike in update timestamps after promotions. Turns out a quiet category in their inventory was driving big post-campaign sales. But the only reason we caught it? The metadata. It always kind of blows my mind what you find in the margins. So don't skip that step. Anyway, once you've got your metadata locked down, the next step naturally is statistics. But before I get ahead of myself, let's pivot into what we actually do with these details to create insights. So you've gathered all this metadata, great. Now comes generating descriptive statistics, things like record counts, ranges, averages, basically the bread and butter for understanding your data's health. But statistics alone can feel, soulless, right? That's where the magic comes. Turning these numbers into a story, something you can actually use in the boardroom, not just on a spreadsheet. Here's how we do this. You shape those stats into a crisp narrative. Think, what's the summary? What stands out? Are there big swings or odd gaps? And honestly, that narrative is the perfect feed for AI tools like Google's Notebook LM, an experimental tool that's really changed the tempo for how we analyze and organize data. Notebook LM takes that formatted summary, and instead of just parroting numbers, it kind of translates them into insights that make sense for execs or anyone needing a high-level view. Now, let me share a real example. I recently worked with a client prepping for a major board presentation. We took their stats, shaped the key findings into a type summary, and fed it into Notebook LM. The AI kicked back an executive summary with highlights, risks, and even strategic suggestions, all tied to their actual numbers. It saved them hours, and more importantly, gave them confidence going into a make-or-break meeting. That's the power here. You're not just crunching data, you're arming your team with narratives that actually move the needle. And look, AI or not, it still starts with structuring those narratives clearly. I always tell people stats alone don't drive strategy. Stories do. All right, now let's break down what these AI analysis tools can actually deliver and why it matters whether you're a data scientist or someone just trying to make sense of quarterly numbers. So when you run your metadata and stats through something like Notebook LM, Google's tool spits out three core things. Audio overviews, which, by the way, are lifesavers if you need to get up to speed fast. Briefing docs that lay out your findings, metrics, and even strategic implications. And mind maps to connect ideas visually, kind of a roadmap for figuring out what's next. One thing a lot of folks want to know, what about privacy? Don't worry, the analysis is only based on metadata and aggregate stats. That means no personal or confidential data gets mixed in, so you get the insight without the risk. Now, from working with clients over the years, I've kind of boiled it down to three key questions I always ask before kicking off an AI analysis. First, what specific decisions do you need to make from this data? Nail that down early. Second, Does your team have all the background they need, or should we bake in some context for AI? And third, how granular should these outcomes go? Do you want the 30,000-foot view, the deep dive, or both? Nailing these helps me tailor the AI's output so it actually fits your goals, not just regurgitates information. So to wrap up for today, if you're looking to get more value from your data, start with that overlooked metadata, push through stats into narrative, and let AI like NotebookLM make sense of it all. There's a lot more to unpack in this space, so stay tuned. There's plenty more coming. Thanks for listening.